All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask if you guys can not send me any text while I'm up here, because when you're in a space like this and you're moving around and you're doing the whole hosting thing, right? And all of a sudden you get a text, it's like hitting a brick wall. It's very painful, So if I can get you guys not to do that, that would be very cool. Also, if you could stay clear of this raised up stage area, this way nobody blocks this big display behind me, right? And it gives me a little bit of room to move around and do the whole hosting thing, right? Um, also, you may notice at the top of your menu wheel, you've got this microphone icon. It looks kind of like, let's see, I don't have a picture of it up there. Okay. Wrong slide, wrong presentation. Well, you got a microphone button on the top of your menu wheel there on your lower left. And if that's clear, that means that, people can hear what's happening in your environment, right? So we've gone ahead and we've turned that to red. And this means that you're muted. So if somebody comes in your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? Well, we're not going to hear that, right? So feel free to answer them. Or if you got some music in the background, like somebody said earlier, I think it was Leach, then that's completely fine. Also, just because you're muted doesn't mean you can't express yourself. You're going to notice that there is a pink cheeked smiley face in that menu wheel. And when you click on that, your emoji panel is going to open up in the air before you, giving you a wide variety of options with which to express yourself, right? So if I share something really deep, something powerful, something meaningful, and you feel it deep side and it's building up, right? You can just let it out, just let it flow, just like that. Maybe I got some backup answers, right? Backstage, and they come out and they join me, and we get break into, It's Go Time, the musical, right? And you're all very impressed. You can throw up the applause that I live for, and I can take a moment to drink it all in because it feels good. All right, now, also, if I ask you guys a yes or no question, you could say yes by smiling like this. You could say no by frowning like this. And if I say something funny, you can show me you're laughing by going like this, all right? Now, and then there's this thing, all right? There's this. This is by far the most distracting of all the emojis. All right. This is only to be used in a dire emergency. Like if I'm waving my arms around here and you're like, wow, this guy looks like he's really into it, but I'm not hearing anything. That's a good time to use that. Or maybe my moderators have had enough. They've been to one go time too many, right? And they've had it. So they're going to set the stage on fire. They've done it before. They'll probably do it again, right? And you'll notice, and you see it behind me and I don't see it, right? That's the kind of thing you want to let me know about. That's like our sacred pact. That's our agreement between me and you, the audience, right? So if something like that happens and I just see one hand go up like that, I'm going to keep on going because, it's just one hand. It might be somebody messing around. But if I see 5 of them going on at one time, I know there's a problem I need to address. You guys got to let me know that, right? That's our agreement. You can also see the X in the middle of the emoji panel there. That's going to close it. But you're also going to notice that, it's a good idea to leave it open during events like this because it gives me feedback, lets me know how I'm doing. But more importantly, it lets the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you starts going like this, that means they found something funny, right? You may not agree. You might be like, "That's not funny at all. I don't get that. Not one bit. I'm gonna go stand over here. I don't know what's with that guy." All right, so but you guys get the idea, right? Now, what is Go Time? Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang out. You may pick up some useful information that helps the growing Go community in Altspace. There's a lot of Go users in Altspace, and there are new Go users arriving each and every day, right? Actually, how many of you are new users? Let me see. If you got some smiley faces, you can show me. Maybe some hearts if you're new to Altspace. One chance to welcome you guys. All right, we got a couple people. All right, that's cool. Well, welcome to Altspace. That's awesome. You're gonna enjoy it. Some good stuff in here. All right, now let's see here. When I first set out, when I first got my headset, right? I've been in bed for about a year and a half or two due to a health condition. It's getting a lot better, but back when my headset arrived, right, I couldn't wait for this thing. Do you guys remember the first time you put on a headset, right? That feeling of being taken away to another world, right? There's nothing like it. It's really awesome. And, when I got mine, I'd been reading about Altspace for a while, and I could not wait, man. I got this thing on my head, right? And Altspace was the first stop I came. It was the first place I went to, and I stepped out of that load screen for the first time, and the very first thing I did was I looked up, right? I looked up at the sky, and that sky looked a lot like what I remember a sky looking like. Not now. It's got the wood beams here, but, it was an open sky, and it was very nice. And I was grateful for this. I was so grateful that I started volunteering for Altspace, like right away, that first day, right? And, started moderating events. And when I did, you know what I found out? Right? I couldn't make it through an entire event because my battery wouldn't last. Right? I was having all kinds of problems. And I started asking questions like, how can I make it better? If you've been to one of my other events on Wednesdays, I Am Possible, I'm one to not really give up. Right? So I started asking questions. I started getting to the bottom of all the issues. Right? And the answers I got led to this event. But in the beginning, I heard some stuff, right? I heard, like, for example, I wouldn't be able to work this laser pointer here, right? Told me I couldn't do that on an Oculus Go. And you know what? That turned out to not be true. It turns out I could, right? I was also told that these slides here, right, I wouldn't be able to work these on an Oculus Go. And you know what? That turned out to not be true. And I was told that despite having a background presenting material like this, that my device wasn't reliable enough for me to host events. And you know what? That also not only did that turn out to not be true, but I went on to become a very prolific Altspace host. I've done over 300 events, and more than half of those events were done on an Oculus Go, right? And you can too. You know, it's really, yeah. It's not to say that there aren't problems. There are challenges, you know, to being on one, and we're going to walk you through a lot of these problems that you have on the go in Altspace. Most of them are solvable, and the ones that aren't are manageable. And we're going to walk you through how to do that today. Before you leave here, like, listen, there's two routes you can take. You could work with the device you already have on your head, right? Before you leave here today, you're going to have like some things you can do that's going to improve your performance. You can also upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And I say it that way because, listen, if you've been here before, you know I can't stand that term. Like, if you're on the Altspace Discord, you're going to see terms like that thrown around, like limitations of the device, weaker device, inferior device, and it never feels good to hear this stuff, right? It never does, right? But you got to remember, there's another term that they throw out, because listen, the Oculus Go it's a very powerful, great, wonderful introduction to VR, right? And I'm on a Quest now, but if I started out on an Oculus Quest, I would not have stayed. You know, on an Oculus Go, you don't have to worry about vertical movement. You don't have to worry about the complexity of two controllers, and it allows you to get used to VR at your own pace, right? It's a wonderful device. It really is. When they say terms like that, it's important to remember that there's another term that gets thrown around Altspace a lot. You'll hear it an awful lot here, and that's communities. There's a lot of rich and diverse communities represented in Altspace, and, you know, important part of that community is you, right? Not what kind of headset you're wearing, right? Your headset's just the vehicle that brings you in, and you're not your headset any more than you are your house or your car. And I find it's important to remember that. All right, now, you know, so let's start with the device you already have on your head, right? You may not realize this, but your device loses power even when it's not in use. So, you know, if, for example, you know, you put your headset down at night and it has 100% power, you know, when you pick it up in the morning, it's going to have less of a charge, right? And the reason for this is because it's checking for app updates, it's checking for firmware updates. Maybe your headset has like a, you know, a pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your headset has a whole secret life that you don't know about, and that can be devastating. But what you can do, right, is keep in mind, right, that like what you want to do is you want to make sure that you come in on a full charge, all right? And it takes a little advanced planning. Like if you go to altvr.com and you look at what's coming up in the events and you see Go Times coming on tonight, and you're like, oh, wow, I've heard good things about the host. He's got this shirt, right? You start to see it everywhere. You know, he's got that hair. You're going to go and check it out. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your device is at 100% when you come in, because if you come into Altspace with, like, say, 20% power, you're going to notice that your screen's going to flicker around and you're going to have performance problems, right? So what you're going to want to do is about an hour before the event starts, make sure you plug in your device so that you have 100% and you're ready to go when the event starts and when you come in. Now, when you first put on your headset, I want you to make this a habit. You know that middle button on the top there that you press to turn the device on? What you want to do every single time you come into Altspace is you want to press and hold that power button down for about 4 seconds. And when you do, these three buttons are going to appear in the air in front of you. And that middle button's a restart button. I want you to press that, and the device will reset. And this is going to get rid of all those temporary files that your device has been thinking about, like the app updates, the firmware updates, and any temporary file. It's going to basically reset it and put it into its best starting position, right? And then you're going to start it up. You're going to go into the load screen. And when you get in the load screen, listen, you may have noticed what an important role body language plays in Altspace. You can say so much without saying a word, right? Like if you're at an event like this and a moderator comes up to you and they start shaking their head back and forth like this, you know, without them saying anything, you know, that means don't do that thing, right? You know, or maybe somebody makes it up onto the stage, right? And you see me going like this, and you know that means without me saying anything, that means, you know, get off of my stage. It's a very dangerous place, right? So what you can do, right, but now and then in Altspace, you're going to notice that your avatar's hand might be right here, but your and your real world hand might be up over here, and it won't like line up. So you got your real world hand here, and your avatar's hand is way up here, right? You're not going to have very convincing body language that way. So if like it's like that, and I go to wave somebody off the stage like this, what's going to happen is you're going to see my arm waving around like that, right? You know, and that's not cool, because then it looks like I'm saying, hey, everybody, welcome to Go Time. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying, get off my stage. Don't do that thing, right? So what can happen is if this happens to you and you find that your avatar's hand isn't where you'd like it to be, right? It's relatively easy to fix. On your controller, you're going to notice you have a trackpad, and below that you have a button, and below that you have a button right on the very bottom there, right? Now, don't press it now. That bottom button, you got to think of that like an eject button. And if you disappear, I'm going to feel it, right? So what you want to do, right, is, hey, Almighty Rocket, what's going on? Going on, people? You having a good time? All right, well, welcome. All right, so what you want to do is that bottom button, all right, don't press it now. It's like an eject button, right? If you were to press it, you'll have an option to quit or resume. And if you press resume, it gets taken. Oh, somebody pressed it. It always happens. I always say don't press it, and they press it. All right, but here's what you can do, right? If you hold your arm out at your side, right, like this, point it forward, and you hold that bottom button down and don't let go, after about 3 seconds, you're going to see a white circle spin in the air around you, right? And when that happens, your arm or your hand is going to snap right into place. Then take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? All right, if it is, then you're good. If it's not comfortable, do it again. Do it as many times as it takes for you to feel comfortable, because only you can determine what feels comfortable for you. All right, so give that a try, and that'll help an awful lot. Now, another thing that could happen is you're going to notice from time to time that the menu wheel in your lower left, that collection of circles with the blue and white triangle, you're going to notice that moves around sometimes. Sometimes it'll move right in front of you and make you feel off balance. Sometimes it'll go behind you and you won't even be able to reach it. It's important to remember that on Oculus Go, you have the main menu in your hands at all times. Just below the trackpad, you have a button, and below that, you have a button. So that middle button right there, that's your menu button. And if you press that, your main menu is going to open up in front of you. But if you're looking forward when you do this and you press it again, the menu will close. But when it closes, you're going to find that collection of circles, your menu wheel there, is going to go right back where it's supposed to be on your lower left, right? And that can help a lot. All right. So another thing you're going to notice is, listen, when I first came in Altspace and I started losing power like that, right, it was annoying. I'd had to go, charge up, and I had to go find the event host and apologize for flaking out. So I got off to kind of a rocky start, right? One of the best pieces of advice I got in the beginning was somebody told me to turn my brightness down, right? And I didn't want to do it. I wanted to have the best graphic experience I could possibly have in Altspace. And to me, that meant having my brightness turned way up to like retina burning levels, right? It was painful, but my graphics were awesome. Or so I thought, right? So I figured, listen, I got to do something to make, the device last longer in here. So I'm going to start, trying to turn the brightness down and see what happens, right? So what I did was, at the main Oculus main menu, when you first turn the device on, over on the lower right, you've got all these tabs. And I see you there, NFA Soap. How's it going? What's going on? I see you. There you are. Okay, cool. What you want to do is, on the lower right there, you've got settings. And then if you press that right in the middle, you're going to see you have a button called brightness, right? You press on brightness, and you're going to see this big blue bar in the air, right? Now, when you got that big blue bar there, right, and you can turn off the auto brightness, and then you can manually set it after that, right? So every time I came into Altspace, I turned that blue bar down a little bit more and a little bit more until finally the brightness was completely off, right? And once it was completely off, I came into Altspace and I couldn't believe what I saw, right? Well, I was go to this event where, we had this tree off in the corner and all the moderators would gather there to hang out before the event started. And I'm walking over that tree and I just stopped and I looked up and I'm like, wow, right? That tree looked more real than I'd ever seen it before. So if you turn your brightness all the way down, what you're going to find is not only are you going to enjoy better graphics, you're going to enjoy better performance on your device, but most importantly, your battery is going to last longer, right? So there's no reason not to do it. If you're making a big jump from like 75% to 0, right? Well, it might take a few minutes to get used to it. But, trust me on this. If you turn the brightness all the way off, right, it's going to change everything. Your device is going to last longer. And at this point in time, I found out, right, that people actually hung out after events. I didn't know that before that because, now my battery started lasting longer, right? And I started working toward improving things. And around this time, I found out one of the reasons that Go users get kind of a bad reputation in Altspace. The reason for this is because the microphone on the Oculus Go is very powerful. The sound comes out of your straps, it gets picked up by the microphone, and it gets projected out into Altspace, right? And the problem is we don't get to hear what we sound like in here, right? Like, because, if you're standing there with a group of people, in some world exploring, and I'm like talking to CB Jason here, and we're hanging out, and I'm like, hey, CB Jason, how's it going? Did you hear about that thing that happened that time, and then where, what was going on with that whole thing? I couldn't believe it. It was nuts, right? And while I'm talking, all of a sudden I hear a voice, and that voice sounds very familiar. And I turn around, and I see your avatar walking up, except my voice is coming out of your avatar. And there's a sound delay, so it sounds like you're copying me, and it makes you really difficult to talk to. Fortunately, it's really easy to fix this if this happens to you. On the top of your headset, you're going to notice 2 buttons on the left side. The leftmost button is the volume down button, and just next to that, you have the volume up button, right? Now, when you press either of these, you're going to see these vertical bars appear in the air, and some will be solid and some will be clear. What you're going for is 4 vertical clear bars on the right side. This way, your volume will be set 4 tick marks away from the maximum, right? Once you do this, though, right, now you're going to find that people are going to start being nice to you right away, but it comes at a price, right? Because you might now be straining to hear people, right? But you still have one good hand in the real world, and you can use it, right? All you have to do is take your left hand and try this now. Take your left hand, hold it up to your left ear, like kind of cup it there, right? And what you're going to find is that the sound of my voice goes up when you do that. It's a way to temporarily increase the volume. A great way to fix this, though, permanently is to get a pair of headphones and attach it to your device, and that'll ensure the only voice coming out of your avatar is your own, right? Well, like, me, I acquired a pair of inexpensive earbuds, right? And I got those hooked up. And after that, the only sound you hear is, coming out is your own voice, right? Occasionally, you might hear a family member come in and say, are you still on that thing, right? And what you can do is you can get them their own headset and bring them into VR with you, right? This way they can see how great it is, right? And we'll all enjoy that together, right? All right. But when I added on my earbuds to the device, I started wondering, what else can I add to my device to make it better, right? How else can I solve some of these other problems? And I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience. And I call it this because I would go to worlds that were like very, heavy performance, and I'd watch other Go users disappear. They'd fall down on the floor. Their avatars would disappear completely as they crashed, right? And I would still last, right? And you can too. All you have to do is make just a few small changes, right? And to show you how I did this, I'm going to have to discuss these products behind it, right? But before I do, I like to say that these are not the only products that work. It's the ideas behind these products that matter. All right. So, keep that in mind. Like if you find something cheaper or another brand that you want to try, do that, right? And come and tell us, what you used and how it worked. I love hearing success stories about, some of the different solutions that people make, right? All right. So now let's see what else do we have here. Let's see. Yeah. So and also you're going to be tempted to write this stuff down. Don't worry about it. We've made it super easy for you to find. If you go to altvr.com and you go up to the upper left, you're going to see a link that says channels. And if you press on channels, you're going to see all these Altspace event channels. And we'll be down toward the bottom where it says Ravenhole events, like it says up in the sound booth there. And when you click on that, you get taken to our event page. And on our event page, on the left side, you'll see all these products behind me linked. So if you want to check it out, that's a good place to find it. You'll also see a join Discord button. And if you press on that button, you'll be taken to our Discord. And if you want to ask us any questions or get in touch with us or help us put on events like this, right? Also, you'll see the most important button on the internet. True, that's where they keep it. You'll see the subscribe button. And when you press that subscribe button, it lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content. We don't really get paid to do this. So, when we see that number go up, it makes us feel good. We enjoy seeing that. Just like when you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, that makes us feel great. We love that stuff. And if you want to say hi to YouTube right now, turn around and wave out. You see Raven Eye floating up in the air. That's our camera. So if you want to say hi to Raven Eye up there, say hi to YouTube, you can. We got Juicy here. We got Penniless Imp 749. We've got Purple Penguin 04. We've got Honey Badger OG. We've got Lily. We got a lot of people in here. Okay, we got Soap. We got Soap here. We got Blaze. We got Matt Mick 1233, and we got Adams. Everybody just wave on out. Come on in, Altspace. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, so let me tell you about some of these products and what they do. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is the Anker Power Core battery pack. Now, this was going to solve my power issue because listen, Oculus says that it's not a good idea to use their headsets while they're plugged in. They say it's cool to use an external battery pack, right? So, I got this thinking that was going to solve my problem, right? This one lasts 16 hours, but I didn't think I'd ever need to. Let's see. I see you have a question here, Honey Badger. We will be taking questions and comments at the end. You might have missed that, so hang on to that. We're almost there, okay? All right, so what you're going to notice is, so this battery pack here, what this will do, right, this one lasts for 16 hours, and I didn't really think I'd need to spend that much time in VR because I like food, I like water, I'm fond of sleep. I've heard good things about that. I'm going to try some of that later. So you've got that battery pack, and that's going to solve that. But around this time, I started to hear how people were having problems charging their devices, right? And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when you plug in your device, you ever notice how tight that cable is? Right. And over time, all that wear and tear, eventually it's going to wear down the connection. And when it doesn't make proper contact with it, it's not going to charge as effectively. Right. So I found this middle product here. It's a MagSafe cable. It's got a USB port that goes, the USB cable that goes into the battery pack there. And one tip goes on, inside of your headset and stays there. And the other one, is a magnetic connector. And that whole, snaps on with the magnet. Right. And it turns out that's a great safety feature because if you turn your head while you're in VR and that cable gets pulled on, instead of your headset sliding down and feeling like your world's being turned upside down, you're like, oh no, right? What happens is it just pops off. And you don't even got to come out of VR to fix it. All you have to do is just pick up that magnetic cable, hold it to the side of your headset and thunk right into place. And if your microphone's open, your friends are going to hear that thunk sound. They're going to go, what was that? And you're going to be like, that's power. That's what that was. That was pure power. You don't have to say it. It's not going to make it work any differently. But if you want to continue that tradition, feel free. All right. Now, another thing that we have here is that, listen, when I did this and it arrived and I plugged it all in and I tried it out, it turned out I solved my power problem. My battery wasn't running out anymore. But I had a new problem, and I bet you guys have experienced this. Anybody here overheat? A lot? All right. Yeah, I'm seeing some nods, some hands going up. Yeah. I would overheat all the time. For me, it was about every 20 minutes. Faceplate on the Oculus Go, that's installed by hand. So people experience different things with it, right? Seeing a lot of hands going up. That's probably for the overheating, I think, right? All right. But yeah, so what happened was the faceplate is installed by hand, and people get different results with it. You're going to notice that like some people overheat every 20 minutes, some people overheat every 2 minutes. The first go time we had, there was a guy there. The whole side of his headset was pushed in because it got melted, and this made me nervous. I knew this was something we had to fix, and I'd heard some people were using ice packs, some people were using bags of like frozen peas and stuff like that to bring the temperature down. I don't recommend doing this because when you have it on your headset, it's going to create condensation, right? And condensation, you got electricity and moisture, water on your face. That's not a good combination at all. They're not safe, right? And the people I know who tried this, they went through more than one headset. All right, they joke around about it, but that's not funny. You keep spending that kind of money, right? That's not cool, right? But wait, that's not cool. Overheating. You guys get that? You see what I did there? Okay. But one thing I'm getting 2 thumbs down. That wasn't funny. Okay, well, I'll try harder. All right. Well, what did solve this was this bottom product here. This is an AC Infinity USB fan, right? And what you want to do is you want to make sure that the silver part faces the faceplate, right? And then you got to figure out some way to attach it. Some people use string. In my case, I use these oversized hairbands, right? And I put them on the straps, and I made an X over the faceplate, right? And I crossed it over the round rubber feet. And I came into Altspace to test it out, right? At the time, I was set to moderate for the meditation event, which was a great place to test it because whenever I was there, my device would always overheat 20 minutes into the experience every time. You could set your watch by that. It was always 20 minutes. And so what I did was I put my fan on. I came into VR. You guys ever seen Star Trek, the Borg? I felt like a Borg because I had all these wires coming down. You get used to it. But at the beginning, I was like, what's with all these cables? I thought this was supposed to be a wireless experience, right? But you do what you have to. And I came in that meditation event, and I walked up to the host, Jeremy, really nice guy, and I asked him, I said, can you hear my fan? And he says, I can't hear it at all, right? And I said, well, that's great. So I turned it up to medium to see what that would be like. And, well, I said, how about now? He says, I can hear it a little, but it's not that bad. So then I turned it up to the highest speed, and he goes, now you sound like you're in a wind tunnel. I didn't even get a chance to ask the question. He goes, turn it down. And I'm like, all right. So I lowered it down to the lowest setting, and spoiler alert, I never had to turn it up again, all right? Here's what happened. I went through the meditation event, and 20 minutes came where I usually overheat, but I didn't. And then the event finished, and I was like, well, where's the line? What's the limit, right? So I went to another event, and at that event, I didn't overheat at all. So I went to a third event, didn't overheat once, and then after that, what happened was I, went back to my home space, and at my home space, I hung out with my friends for a while, and then it happened, right? The very first time I left Altspace by choice, not because I had to. I didn't leave because I was overheating. I didn't leave because I ran out of power. I left because I actually wanted to, all right? And it was for the first time that ever happened, and it wouldn't be the last. After that, I got super involved. My device became super reliable. I started hosting events. I started monitoring events. I was all over Altspace. I couldn't be stopped. I kept on going. It was awesome, right? And you can too. All you have to do is make a few small changes to your device, and none of this stuff is very expensive. The fan right here, this is about $10 or $11 US. This MagSafe cable is about $7 US. The most expensive thing up here is the battery. That's about $30 US. And honestly, you can get different sizes because you might not need to be in VR for like 16 hours, right? Maybe you only come in a few hours in the evening and get a smaller size, right? So you should try doing that. All right. Now, all this will really just change your experience. I can't recommend it enough, but there still will be problems. All right. And these can be managed. These are more like annoyances. The first one I'm going to tell you about is, a movement issue. What you're going to notice is from time to time, when you go to move in Altspace, you're going to move in ways you don't want to. Like if I turn left to say something to CB Jason over here, but instead of turning left, I go straight, right? And I'm like, well, that was weird. And I go to turn right to say something to Hummingbird, but instead of turning right, I go straight again. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't mean to do that. So I start banging down on my controller and I start moving straight again. I'm like, oh no. And I start pushing buttons. And no matter what I do, I keep moving straight. And the very next thing you know, I'm standing inside of an admin. There is nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin. When I was in there, man, I saw stuff that keeps me up at night. I saw the past. I saw the future. I saw things about user development. I can't talk about it. It was bad in there. It really was. What I can talk about is how to fix this if this happens to you. What you want to do, right, is you're going to find that if you, let's see, what's going on here? Okay. What you're going to find is if this happens to you, what you want to do is you want to take your thumb on your trackpad and gently swipe it across the trackpad without pushing down. All right. So you're going to glide it from right to left or from left to right. The direction doesn't matter. And when you get to the other side, lift your thumb off completely and cross over to the other side, come down and do it again. And make this a reflex. So if I'm in Altspace and I'm walking along and all of a sudden I go to turn left, instead of turning left, I go straight, right? What I want to do is go swipe, 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 and then turn left, right? Just like that, or whatever direction I want to move. And then you'll be moving in the ways that you want to. That can help that a lot. All right. Another thing you can notice from time to time is that, what's going to happen is you're going to go to put your device on. You're going to usually be in a rush when this happens. I don't know why that matters, but it does, right? And you're going to see a notice that says can't find controller, right? Well, when you go to, this happens, this can be because you need to change the battery in your controller. That can happen. But you put a fresh battery in it last night, right? So it's not that, right? For some reason, your controller stopped talking to your headset. Like maybe your controller and your headset, maybe, the controller found out about your headset's secret life and wasn't happy about it and they stopped talking, right? So what you do is, if this happens to you, you don't even have to take your headset off to fix it. It's super simple. Those two buttons on the bottom of your controller, just below the trackpad, if you press both of them down at the same time and wait about 4 seconds, a little white light's going to appear on the trackpad. But if you're wearing your headset, you're not going to see it, right? But what you will see is when you lift your thumbs off of those buttons, you're going to see that you got your hand back, right? You're going to go to that loading screen. You can be like, man, I am glad I went to go time. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about, right? He told me to double down, which I didn't tell you to do, but that's how you remember it. You double down on those two buttons, all right? And you will get your hand back, all right? And that's how that works, which is pretty cool. All right, now, every now and then you're going to notice in Altspace that your screen goes dark. This happens not just on the Go, but on all mobile devices. And this happens a lot less than it used to because Altspace has made a lot of changes to improve performance of your device, right? But I'm seeing a lot of dancing out here. Okay, all right, you guys aren't into it. That's cool. Well, we're almost there, so hang on. But what you're going to notice is, let's see, yeah, when your memory fills up, because that's what happens. All the stuff you see in this space takes up memory, right? The stage, this big red button, this does this cool event that you're going to see in a minute. Hang out for this. This is a cool special effect that we got. But all this stuff, it stays in your headset and it takes up memory. So when this event's over, you might be out exploring worlds or something like that, and you won't be thinking about go time anymore, but your headset still will, right? And what can happen is when that memory fills up, the screen is going to go dark. And your microphone, if it's open, your friends will still be able to hear you. And all you have to do is say, I'll be right back. And then you restart the app. You hit that bottom eject button, right? One of the best ways to deal with this is to get ahead of it before it happens, right? So let's say after this event, you've just been to a couple of worlds to end this event and you want to go to the campfire or something, right? What you're going to want to do is tell your friends, okay, I'll catch up in just a minute. What you want to do, right, is just, press that bottom eject button on your controller, right? And then press quit and then restart the app. And this is a way of manually clearing out the memory before it happens, okay? All right, I'm a little over on time. Normally at this point, we discuss world building tips. If you guys want to hear any of that stuff, just throw me up some hearts. If not, we'll just skip it. All right, and we'll go directly to the questions and comments because I saw some people waving their hands around like they had a question. All right, so we've got one person who wants to hear the building tips and nobody else. Okay, cool. So we're going to skip over it, Oh, yeah, that's two. All right, okay. It's still kind of, not that many compared to all of them. All right, hang on. So we'll take the questions now and see how that goes. Let's see. We have, you're going to notice in your lower right, you're going to see a raise hand button appear as if by magic, right? That's what magic looks like in VR, right? And if you press on that, we ask a question or make a comment, like that if you'd like. And while we're waiting, if you're on Twitter and you want to follow us, you can find us at _ Uncanny Valley. I know it looks like one underscore, but it is actually two. All right, we have Podesky, and I hope I'm saying their oath. They looks like they left. Okay, we have Grayson. Grayson, you have a question? You're on the air. What's going on, Grayson?
Do you have any suggestions for Oculus Go games?
Oculus Go games. Well, I heard Wands is pretty good, right? But I think you really can't go wrong with Wander. If you're using the Wander app, that makes it feel like you're out exploring the real world. It's kind of a cool way to look around and see things you may never get to see in your life. So it's one of my favorites, actually. And of course, Altspace, I've heard, is an incredible app. I've heard really good things about that one. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. I've heard Wands is good too. I haven't had a chance to play that one yet, though. Let's see, Blaze. Blaze, you're on the air. What's going on, Blaze? Blaze? Speak to me. You might want to press that raise hand button again. I think I kind of lost you there. There you go. All right, let's see. You're on the air, Blaze. What's going on? No? Okay, I'll try it again. There we go, Blaze. You're on the air. Last time. All right.
Okay, so
what's up?
Actually, I did see a thing, like it has a list of games and a rating for those games.
Where'd you see
and
this?
One of them was Angus.
Mm-hmm.
It was rated a 9 out of 10.
Wow, I haven't heard of that one. I'm gonna have to look into that. What do you know what it's
about? Basically, you're playing as a person on a ship, and you have to do like daily tasks.
Sounds like work.
Yes.
All right, wait. All right. So wait, I'm gonna go play a game. It's like I have a job. Why don't I just get a job? I'm just asking. Want to know? No? No, I'm just kidding around. So you're on a ship and you have daily tasks you have to get done.
Yeah, but
Okay.
instead of teleporting in this, like,
Yeah.
how it is,
Okay.
you don't do that. You look at a marker and you point your hand at the marker and it'll teleport you to it.
Oh, that's cool. That's a neat way to move around. That's a cool idea.
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, neat. All right, listen, if anybody has any further questions or comments, right, what we're going to do now is we're going to head on over to the Ravenhall Flight Academy where we teach everybody to fly, right? If you'd like to do that. Also, in a minute, what we're going to do is we're going to press this red button here. And when I press this, what you're going to see is this Ravenhall Talon hovercraft fly down the street outside the window here. So direct your attention to that window. It's going to go up over the trees and land in that backyard area. Okay. Now, if you guys have learned anything here today, please share it with those you've come in contact with. So if you're standing around and exploring, Altspace, and you hear somebody say, my face is on fire, I keep overheating, tell them about the fan, tell them about Go Time, tell them about our event page, right? And this way, you've helped somebody, so you'll feel better, they'll feel better, and that's how we keep this thing going, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press this button now. And if you direct your attention out the window, you'll see a Talon hovercraft. You can fly the
aircraft en route to your position.
Right, you can fly these at the Ravenhall Flight Academy. If you come on out and join me out in the backyard area here, we can, we can meet it as it arrives. Come on in there, and yeah. So let's go head out and check that out. All right, should be coming down about now. Let's have a look here. Oh, excellent. All right, here it comes. Awesome. All right. Now, don't worry, it's not going to hit you. It gets kind of low, and it's going to pop out a portal here. There we go. Very nice.
Talon aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Ravenhall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Been a great audience. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.